I've been a pastor's kid for most of my life. My job description and my idea was that I was supposed to be saved. That's what I was worried about, because as a pastor's kid, I'm up on a pedestal and under a glass where everybody just sees me. If I wasn't saved, what would people think? I went to church camp in 2009 just like I always had. It was just a summer routine for me. And through that whole week, I had been doubting my salvation and doubting whether or not I was saved. And I just kind of shoot it off like just Satan just stopped messing with me, I didn't totally believe that it was all Satan, because it was just so powerful and it was just weighing me down, and it was weighing my time that I usually just have fun spending at camp. And so Thursday night during the song service, the second song, I just broke down. I just knew right then that I was not a child of God, and that I needed to know Jesus as my Savior, not as something that my dad knew or something that my friends knew, but I needed to know Him, and I needed to make Him mine, and I needed to have a relationship with Him. We sat down after the song service was over, and I wrote a note to my friend Dana and told her that I needed to be saved, and she told me that she needed to be saved also. Then all these worries came flooding into my head, like, what is my dad going to think? What is my church going to think? What are all these people going to think that have thought that I have been saved? So the whole sermon, I wasn't even listening. I just could care less about what he was talking about. I just knew in that moment that I needed to be saved, and that if I were to die, that I was going to go to hell. So I waited and I waited, and this sermon just felt like it was going on and on and on. And so finally, when the invitation came up, I took LaDonna and we went outside, and I told her that I needed to be saved. And in that moment, I told God that I needed Him, and I knew that He had died for my sins, and I knew that if I was the only one, that He would have still died for just me. After that, I went home and I started getting in His Word, and I really started my relationship and my walk with God. And then my world fell apart. It all started with a family meeting, and my dad was sitting there and was crying, and then my mom was sitting there really still, and I was wondering who had died. Then he just comes out and says that my mom had an affair and they're getting a divorce. They were going through my mind like, just tell me this isn't real, tell me this is a joke, just tell us that you love us and this was just kind of just a sick joke. And I didn't grasp all of it then. I knew it was going on, but my mind could not get a hold of that was happening to me. I kept asking God, I was like, God, why are you doing this to me? I was just saved a month ago at camp. I've been following you, I've been reading your word. My dad's a pastor, for crying out loud. And so I started blaming God, and I was wondering why He had let this happen. And I had so much bitterness towards God and towards my mom that I could not see past anything. I was just so bitter about it. So I started cutting myself. I needed to relieve the emotional pain that I was feeling by physical pain, and it seemed to help momentarily. And this just went on through high school, and then I tried to look into people or to guys, and I just wanted them to love me and tell me that they loved me. I didn't care if it was true. I didn't care whether or not, I didn't care who it was. I just wanted someone to tell me that they loved me, because I felt all alone in the world, and I felt like nobody was there. I was crying out to God. I was wondering, I'm like, God, where are you? I couldn't see Him in any corner of my life. And I was like, why have you left me alone? Why has my mom left me? What could I have done better? Could I have been a better child? Could I have done something to stop this? And this just spiraled down. And this went all throughout high school until I graduated and I went to the Journey for the first time. I found out at Journey that I couldn't find God because I wasn't seeking Him. I wasn't truly trying to find Him. I wasn't truly, how is God supposed to heal my scars and heal all my brokenness and all my damaged heart and myself and all the issues that I had in the circumstance? If I wasn't willing to give them to Him and willing to give all of me to God for Him to heal me. In that week, I rededicated my life and started following God. And after that week, I started doing a devotional, and Satan just kept like taunting me and telling me that you're broken and you're worthless, and how could God ever use someone like you with all the past mistakes that you've made and all the stuff that you did and all of the brokenness that is in you. And so I was reading my devotion book, and my favorite line in there is, God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies those he calls. And it just hit me, and I just cried, and I'm like, why am I trying to be good enough? Like if I have Christ, like I'm good enough. And so Satan just tried to keep at me and kept telling me like, you're broken. You know, I'm like, you know what, Satan, you're right, I am broken. But you know, God fills up all my brokenness and all my gaps and fills me with him and uses me for his purpose and his honor and glory. And every time he reminds me of my past, I remind him of his future. And he's already defeated, and God has already defeated him. And the only thing he's holding me back from is the purpose that God has for me. I would not change anything about my life. I would not change the circumstances. I wouldn't change my parents. I wouldn't change anything that I've done, because without those circumstances and without all of those people in my life, I wouldn't be who I am today, and I wouldn't be nearly as strong as I am today. I am Delayna, and this is my journey.